There's a scene in one of my favorite shows, a series called Billions. Main character is Bobby Axelrod, billionaire, hedge fund dude, typical New York billionaire, persona. And he's talking to one of his adversaries at, I think it's Gray's Papaya. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably saying that wrong. But they had like a sign on the window that said, two hot dogs and a Coke or something, or juice for, whatever price. And that's called a recession special. And as Axelrod's talking, he's like, actually, I don't even remember the recession. And that's kind of how rich people are, right? They have so much money in the bank, they don't really feel it. And what you're seeing right now is, as you're watching the economy go backwards and inflation gets severe, there's that bottom 80% of income earners, they're really feeling a pinch right now. So you always see those little memes on Instagram and stuff that says, work until your bank account looks like a phone number or something like that. There's 20 million of these dumbass things on social media. And I think a lot of people get caught up thinking that, it's we're this consumer driven society and it's materialism and it's all about Rolexes and McLarens and Lamborghinis and estates. And I always I tell people that, yeah, I mean, you got it all wrong. There's definitely people out there that do that and they're driven by that, but there's some part of it, it's just security, that if you're really smart financially, you know that bad things happen. Recessions happen, that you get sick. And having a bunch of money in the bank's not a bad thing. And you don't have to take that money and go buy a bunch of luxury items. It's just nice to sleep at night knowing that, for some people, their family's taken care of. Their kids can go to college. If they get sick and they're the primary breadwinner, that everything's not going to fall apart. It's nice to know that when things get this bad or worse, that you got enough money in the bank to where you don't feel it. And I think we're really caught up in this, you only live once, the fear of missing out, and no planning for tomorrow type of lifestyle, that we're going to really end up paying the price for this. And kind of like 2008, you hated the companies with the big balance sheets, you hated the rich people, but they kind of saved everybody's ass, because at the end of the day, it's the people that had the money in the bank are the ones that give stability. What did people do? They ran back to their parents' house because they had their home paid off. They had some money in the bank. These big companies, what do we float around at? 10% unemployment there for a minute in 2008, but 90% of people were still employed, for example. And sometimes you look at that and you go, well, still hate rich people, but could you imagine if everyone just lived check to check, what would happen during a recession? Like, this whole country would turn into Mad Max. So you see the pending, doom coming of a recession. Some people say a depression. Let's hope none of that happens. Let's hope it just keeps, let it go sideways for a while and then the economy picks back up. That's the hope right now. But having extra money on hand isn't the worst thing on our planet. You talk to so many people and it's just, they don't care. It's like they want that next vacation. They got to do this. They got to do that. It's like no one's seems to be worried about paying down debt, putting money in the bank, saving money for the future, saving money for retirement, which I talk about a lot because I didn't grow up with any money. My dad's broke. My mother ran off. She's broke. And I watched my dad run out of money. I take care of him. I pay for his Lexus. I pay for his apartment. I pay for his whole life now. Thank God I turned out okay. If not, he'd be in one of those like co-op senior centers somewhere with no money. Every month he'd be waiting for his $1,300 in Social Security money, and he would just get by. There'd be no extra money for nothing, not even like an extra shirt a month. Is that how you want to spend the last 30 of your life? We don't think about that right now. We're 29 years old or 35 years old, and it's like, I got to go to Cabo. And you can go to Cabo if you can make enough money to put money away for later and go to Cabo. So it's just one of those things that the way we're looking at things, we're so focused on work-life balance And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I don't think life is all about work, but I do believe you have to work to provide for yourself and your family. I think we're coming up a little short there right now. And I think we're seeing that in the labor participation numbers. We're seeing that with the staffing shortage everywhere. The economy will pay a price for that. Eventually, those savings accounts are going to run out. And what happens then, right? Well, you're going to want to run back to the jobs, but if the economy pulls back, those jobs aren't going to be there. So, just to keep saying it, having money in the bank's not a bad thing. It will save you during the bad times. It's not for Rolexes and Ferraris. It's get you through a recession, get you through a major health crisis. For some people, hell, maybe get you through a divorce or some other bad thing that's going to happen. I don't get it. It's those people that think that I'm just going to get $1 million, and which is way more than most, and I'm going to live off the interest and the dividends. Well, look at the people that tried doing that from 2000 to 2010 when, unless you were a really good stock picker, a lot of those funds were going sideways. You weren't making that kind of money. And now what happens when inflation goes up, right? Now it's starting to eat into your money. So that's why I always say income is king. You want to see the people that get rich and stay rich? They have perpetual income and or multiple income streams. Before this happened, let's say 2019, they said most people were happy by the time they made $75,000. Enough to pay their bills, not have to struggle. And that's kind of where like ambition and motivation started to fade off for most people. Man, now you probably need like 115 with the way this world is, depending on, especially if you're, in higher cost of living areas. But here's the thing. Savings will eventually run out, especially when the market's down and inflation's high. You have to always be working. Unless you got a boatload of money. If you're not working, then you need some kind of way to generate income through other business ventures and, I don't want to say passive income, because you can't always rely on the stock market. You're not getting the money out of the CDs and the money market accounts right now, I'll tell you that much. So it's just one of those things when you step back and you look at these people that are 40, 50, 60 years old and they don't feel the recession. They either had a boatload of money in the bank and or they had a bunch of money in the bank and they still have these revenue streams coming in that constantly generates money for them. I feel like the last 2 years with COVID, a lot of people got some extra money and they cashed out and they're like, I'm going to figure it out later. And you're watching those savings accounts dwindle now. And the problem is, like, again, I'm seeing where this conversation, when the money gets low, I'll go back to work. Does anyone remember what it was like in 2008, even coming out of the tech boom of like 2000? When things kind of chilled out, those jobs evaporated, and it was really fast. I don't know if it's going to be like this forever. So anyways, I say don't work until your bank account looks like a phone number. I say work until you say what recession. Imagine living life unencumbered, right? Doesn't matter what's going on in the economy, whether it's up or down, stocks are up and down. You have plenty of money in the bank. You have a job or some kind of revenue stream bringing you in money every month. And regardless of what happens, you never have to change your life. You keep doing whatever it is you want to do every day within reason, and you don't have to worry. You don't have to lose sleep. You don't have to sweat it. You don't got to go what if. That's the whole part of having some kind of money in the bank, is just for that like security part. It's not for luxury items and fancy vacations. It's peace of mind. And somewhere along the way, especially in the last 10 years, we have deemed it as evil that if you want to make money or if you want to work hard or put in 50 hours a week, then that makes you some kind of like bad person now. There is no bad person out there that pays their bills and takes care of their family, that retires comfortably. Where is that message anymore? Got any idea? Drop a comment below.